Gabi, Girl in Pieces is a complex coming-of-age story which features a Mexican-American senior as its protagonist. Navigating her last year of high school, Gabi undergoes many life-altering events which change her worldview and her relationships to the people around her. Dealing with death, pregnancy, drug abuse, and broken familial relationships, Gabi chronicles her life within the pages of her diary and within the words of her poems. Through her first-hand account, we meet a funny and lively teenager who, like most, is struggling to find her identity and how it relates to the world around her. In this discussion, I will argue how this honest novel is similar to, bear with me, a hockey game. In hockey, it is the goalie who is awarded the W at the end of the game. They are the one who receives the claps on the back from the entire team after the final buzzer. They are the most valuable player. As Gabi is trying hard to discover herself, she is bombarded with life events that any adult would find difficult to deal with. Her best friend Cindy gets pregnant, her other best friend Sebastian gets kicked out of his house after coming out to his parents, her father tries and fails to kick his meth addiction. It would be enough to make anyone break. And yet, through all of this, Gabi carries the team on her back. She is constantly fixing the problems of others, protecting her loved ones, and ensuring that no harm comes their way. In this way, Gabi is the goalie. She constantly guards the goal, trying her hardest not to let the bad things through the net that would negatively affect her team. If Gabi is the goalie, this means that the stressors in her life, the difficult and sad events she undergoes, are the pucks she lets through the net. And in true goalie fashion, she blames herself when she lets them in. After her father's death, Gabi finds herself wishing that she had been in the garage earlier so that she could have prevented his overdose. After Cindy reveals that her pregnancy was the result of rape, Gabi feels so responsible for her lack of knowledge and the lack of justice that she takes it upon herself to confront the sexual offender. Much like a hockey goalie, Gabi ultimately feels accountable for the pucks going into the net and for letting her teammates down, regardless of the fact that she doesn't always have control, and regardless of the fact that her teammates' decisions may have led the pucks to get past her. At the end of the day, it is Gabi who protects the team, but she is awarded the L after the final buzzer. When Gabi is faced with letting these stressors affect herself and those around her, she turns to an unhealthy coping mechanism: eating. Hiding unhealthy food around her room to escape the comments of her mother, Gabi gorges herself in private whenever she is alone and stressed. Many hockey players also have an unhealthy way of coping with stress and anger during games: throwing punches. At the end of the day, these methods do not make one feel better. They simply add to Gabi's struggle with body image, weight, and depression. Rather than the game ending in your favor, a brutal fight like these will just land you in the penalty box. Unfortunately, not many people in Gabi's life realize how much of their emotions she takes on. Rather than being like a coach and sharing some of the responsibility and braveness, Gabi's mother is more like the commentator of her game. She is constantly watching and commenting on her every move, waiting for her to screw up and become the Americana troublemaker that she constantly assumes her daughter to be. Much like the sports announcers, her mother is constantly aware of her stats, how many times she has broken the rules, what injuries she's sustained, and exactly what her height and weight is. Forever commenting on Gabi's weight, her mother criticizes her for her inability to be thin. On a similar vein, Gabi's friends have many problems of their own to face and therefore may take Gabi's caring nature for granted. However, through their hard times, both Sebastian and Cindy support and love Gabi. In this way, they are her offensive line. They may stray from the goalposts to go fight their own battles, but they always return to give her a clap on the back at the end of the game. Someone that does help Gabi deal with her tumultuous life is her boyfriend, Martin. In many ways, Martin is like Gabi's defender. He gives her a break from the action of the game, allowing her the time and the freedom to plan her next move. When Martin comes into Gabi's life, their healthy relationship gives her someone to lean on, to trust, and he gives her the confidence she needs to decide on her dream school, Berkeley of San Francisco. And like a good defender, rather than letting the goalie get hit, Martin takes a few punches himself while showing Gabi a more productive way of dealing with her sadness and anger: running. Running and writing are Gabi's two coping mechanisms which truly allow her to heal. And what in hockey helps a goalie overcome a loss? Making saves. In this way, Gabi's healthy way of coping with her emotions is like a goalie blocking shot after shot. Rather than letting the stressors affect her game, Gabi sticks her leg out and lets the puck bounce off of it. She's saving herself from her fight with food through writing the pain down on paper. And not only is this goalie making the saves, but she is also great at it. Her poetry is effective and impresses both her teacher and her loved ones. With that being said, if writing is Gabi making saves, then her final project in this novel is the holy grail of a hockey goalie, the coveted shutout. Her mosaic piece is something she is extremely proud of, and which shows off her incredible talent to the world. Therefore, one can see how it is an example of her ultimate game. She did not let any stressors through the net and instead allowed her talent to guide her through the negative emotions she was feeling. If looked at through a post-colonial lens, one can see how Isabel's novel gives a voice to a historically persecuted community. Especially with today's political climate and ethnic prejudice toward Hispanic Americans, Gabi's story challenges this country's prevailing ideology while painting an honest picture of Mexican American culture. By focusing on a minority community through the eyes of a colorful teenage girl, this work pushes back against a society which privileges white culture while persecuting communities like Gabi's. Hispanic American women are historically barred from representation in media and print. Therefore, this novel is restoring an identity to a culture and an individual which often experiences erasure in America. This story is sincere, entertaining, and truthful. With this being said, it is important to allow students to push back even against stories as representative as this one. Using a deconstructionist lens, one can see how word choice and theme throughout this novel may send dangerous messages out to students. For example, although Gabi's struggle against body image is certainly representative of the mindset of many teen girls, there is no clear moment in the novel where Gabi accepts herself for who she is. Additionally, Gabi struggles with her identity as a Mexican American, constantly lamenting about her pale skin and Caucasian features. Something that I have also struggled with as a Hispanic American. I wish that there was a moment where Gabi understood that her Americanness does not need to take away from her heritage, and vice versa. There is an in-between. There is room for praise for teams that lose, and room for criticism for teams that win. After all, if you lose a hockey game, sometimes you can still earn some points. Such a dichotomous view of whether she needed to be fat or skinny, white or Hispanic, a good girl or a bad girl, did not leave Gabi room for adaptation and growth. It would have been helpful to see Gabi celebrate herself and the multifaceted views she brings to the world. Nonetheless, this is a story to be celebrated. The end of the novel leaves us looking forward to Gabi's next game, one that might bring her closer to the championship. Her future is at Berkeley in San Diego, cherishing her family, friends, and their one new addition.